Just wait here, Mom. We'll be right back. Jordan said it so casually that I almost believed him. His voice was light, teasing, like there was no reason to worry. His friends Brad and Chase were already laughing about something in the truck, their laughter spilling out the open windows like the last echoes of a joke I wasn't in on. I smiled, tired but content, and told him I'd be quick. It was just a soda run, just one cold can from the cooler. He'd said he was too tired to go inside. That was fine. It was hot, the kind of heat that sticks to your skin, and I didn't want to make a fuss. Inside the station, the air smelled like old oil and lemon cleaner that had long since given up. The hum of the coolers filled the silence. I found the soda, wiped the condensation from the can, and walked back out. But the truck was gone at first. I thought maybe they'd moved it looped around the back of the station as a joke. I stepped forward, shielding my eyes from the glare, scanning the empty lot. Only cracked pavement and swirling dust met my gaze. The world felt too still, no taillights, no laughter. Just the sound of the wind. My hand froze around the can. I turned in a slow circle, the heat making my head light. For a moment, I almost laughed too, because surely this was another one of their pranks. Brad and Chase loved filming stupid videos for their channel. It's the kind that always ended in someone's embarrassment. Maybe I was the punchline this time. I waited 5 minutes. Then 10 dot, still nothing. When I finally reached for my phone, I realized my purse was still in the truck. My wallet, my charger, my ID, my phone, everything. The silence pressed down on me like weight. The gas station behind me looked even sadder now. One pump, a flickering open sign, a clerk who hadn't looked up once while I paid. The sun beat down mercilessly, and the air felt too thick to breathe. I sat on the curb because there was nowhere else to go. Every few minutes, I stood up, scanning the road, hoping to see them coming back, laughing, maybe even apologizing. But no one came. 1 hour passed. Then another. The heat made time slippery by the 12th car that sped past without stopping. The hope began to rot into something else, something cold and familiar like humiliation. When a minivan finally pulled in, I nearly cried from relief. A woman got out with 2 toddlers arguing in the back seat. I approached slowly, hands raised so she wouldn't think I meant harm. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice cracking. "Do you have a phone I could borrow? Just one quick call." She hesitated, her eyes scanning me, dusty, sweat-streaked, trembling. But then she nodded. No questions. Just quiet kindness. I dialed Jordan's number with shaking fingers. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey," he said casually. "Where are you?" I whispered. "You left me here. You left me with nothing." He laughed. "Relax, Mom. It's just a joke. We'll swing back soon." There was laughter in the background. Brad, maybe Chase. I couldn't tell. "This isn't funny," I said. "We're just messing with you," he said. "Chill." But they didn't come back. The woman waited for a while, giving her kids juice boxes and glancing at me, maybe wondering if she should offer more. I didn't know how to ask. When she finally drove off, I watched her taillights vanish into the horizon, taking with them the only phone I'd touched in hours. The clerk came out once to smoke, his face blank. I didn't bother asking for help. Somewhere between the cigarettes and the silence, I realized the truth. They weren't coming back. Not because they forgot, because they didn't care. Her name was Marcy. She was the next person who stopped. She had a soft voice and a minivan that smelled faintly of applesauce. She offered me water and didn't flinch when I told her what had happened. "I can take you as far as Clearwater," she said. "It's not much, but it's something." It was more than something, it was everything. We drove 4 hours in soft silence. She gave me snacks, a folded $20, and a kindness I didn't know how to repay. Before dropping me at the bus terminal, she said something that stayed with me. People forget what it feels like to be stranded. At Clearwater, I sat on a hard bench with that $20 in my hand, trying to remember who might still pick up the phone for me. And then I remembered Anamant Raleen. We hadn't spoken since Mom died. Life had gotten noisy and full, and then it wasn't. When she answered, her voice broke through the static like warmth. June. Honey, are you okay? Can I stay with you a while? Of course, she said. Always. That night, I bought a one-way bus ticket north. The road stretched long and dark, and for the first time in years, I didn't look back. Oregon smelled of pine and sea salt. Raleen met me at the station in her old green jacket, zipped up to her chin. She didn't ask questions. She just said, "Let's get you home." Her house was small, creaky, steady. The walls smelled like coffee and thyme. That first night, she cooked eggs and slid a small note across the table to me on it. She'd written one word, Odessa. Use your mother's name now, she said. You don't owe anyone the old one. It felt like shedding a skin that had grown too tight. Odessa Holly, a name with edges, with weight. The next morning, she took me down to the diner on Maple Street. It was small, the kind of place where the windows fogged and the booths stuck to your skin. Jean, the owner, looked up briefly when I asked for work. Morning shifts. Coffee tables, nothing fancy, she said. I nodded. Behind the counter. I finally read my new badge, Odessa Hallie. It didn't feel like running away. It felt like starting over. Weeks turned into months. I learned the regulars, the fisherman with too many napkins, the old couple who argued over crossword puzzles. The routine saved me. Quiet, ordinary, steady. Until the day he came in. The man stumbled through the door, bleeding. His shirt was soaked, his breath ragged. He collapsed before I could even scream. Help! I called. The world shrank to the sound of his breathing, the thud of my heart, and the towel pressed to his wound. Stay with me, I whispered. He looked up, eyes glassy. Thank you, he managed. Then the paramedics came, all clipped voices and swift hands. They lifted him onto a stretcher, and as they did, someone asked for his name. Grant, he murmured. Nothing more. Afterward, I stood at the sink, scrubbing my hands until they stung. Blood still lingered under my nails. The world resumed around me like nothing had happened, but something in me had shifted. 3 days later, it came back, arm in a sling. Faded bruises. Quiet eyes. I figured coffee's safer here than on the street, he said. I poured him a cup. He became part of the diner's rhythm, sometimes reading, sometimes just staring out the window like he was waiting for a storm to pass. When fall came, he helped Aunt Raleen fix the porch railing, fixed the flickering light outside, stayed for dinner sometimes, spoke little. One night, in the rain, he told me the truth. He'd been a cop, narcotics. His partner had turned dirty, framed him, shot him, left him for dead. He'd lost everything. I didn't think anyone would believe me, he said. I didn't interrupt. I just brought him tea and listened. He started sleeping on the couch sometimes, always leaving it neatly made. He kept the porch light on for the first time in years. I felt safe. Then came the knock. 3 quiet taps that pulled the air from my lungs. When I opened the door, my world tilted. Jordan. His hair was thinner now, his face hollow. Mom, he said softly. Behind me, Grant stepped forward. Solid, calm. Who are you? He asked. I'm her son, Jordan said. I met his eyes, and for the first time, I didn't flinch. No, I said. You were. The words landed like stones between us. He looked older, smaller, somehow. I've been looking for you, he said. Ever since the podcast. My stomach turned. What podcast? He hesitated. Brad and Chase. They told this story. About the gas station. They thought it was funny. They called it the best prank of their lives. It went viral. But people online, he stopped when he saw my face. I don't care what changed your mind, I said. You made your choice. I made mine. He begged to talk, and for reasons I still don't understand. I stepped outside. We sat on the porch as the sun died behind the trees. They told it like it was a joke, he said finally. But people found out who I was. They destroyed us online. Everyone said we were monsters. And that's when you cared, I said quietly. He winced. No, he whispered. When I saw your face in that video, I remembered the way you looked right before you turned back for the door. I didn't answer. The silence said everything. He cried then. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just the kind of tears that come too late. When I finally spoke, it wasn't anger. It was truth. I didn't leave because of a prank, I said. I left because it showed me something I'd been trying not to see. I didn't matter. Not to you. Not enough for you to come back. His breath broke, but I didn't reach for him because the porch light was on. Because Grant was inside. Because I had already built something new. A few months later, was called to testify. Brad and Chase had gone too far again. Another prank. It's time one that put a woman in the hospital. Their faces on screens. The same arrogance. The same cruelty. I told the court what really happened that day. The heat, the fear, the moment I stopped waiting. When I finished, the room was silent. Outside, cameras flashed. Voices shouted my name. Odessa, over here. Miss Hallie, a few words. I walked past them all. Jordan stood in the back, not moving, watching. I met his eyes once. Then I kept walking, because this wasn't about being seen, it was about being heard. That night, Grant made coffee the way he always did, 2 creams, no sugar. He handed me the mug and asked softly, "You okay?" I nodded. I am now. The tide whispered outside, the porch light glowed steady. And the night smelled like salt and second chances. I used to think what happened at that gas station broke me, I said. But it didn't. It freed me. He reached for my hand. Shattered bonds, I murmured. That's what it was. Everything between me and them I had to break before I could see what was left. He smiled faintly. Then maybe what's left is what matters. Maybe it is, I said. Maybe that's all life really is, learning which bonds were meant to break and which ones were meant to hold. The wind carried the sound of the ocean across the porch, and for the first time I didn't dream of being left behind. I dreamed of staying. And as I leaned against him, I thought of the story I might one day tell, not about cruelty, but about survival. About the moment a person stops, waiting to be rescued, and walks toward their own light. Maybe I'd call it Shattered Bonds, not because it was about pain, but because it was about what's rebuilt. After the porch light stayed on long into the night, a small, steady flame against the dark.